I'm going to start by reading aloud the form restrictions and orderly conduct of business. Ann Silver, Chair for the record. The Library Board of Trustees conducts the business of the Washoe County Library System and its citizens during its meetings. The orderly, efficient conduct of the meeting is integral and necessary to allow the board to conduct business. The chair or presiding officer may order the removal of any person whose statements or other conduct disrupts the orderly, efficient, or safe conduct of the meeting. Warnings against disruptive comments or behavior may or may not be given prior to removal. Examples of disruptive conduct include, without limitation, yelling, stamping of feet, whistles, applause, heckling, name-calling, use of profanity, threatening use of physical force, or any other acts intended to impede the meeting or infringe on the rights of the Library Board of Trustees, staff, or meeting participants. The viewpoint of a speaker will not be restricted, but reasonable restrictions may be imposed upon the time, place, and manner of speech. Irrelevant and unduly repetitious statements and personal attacks which antagonize or incite others are examples of speech that may be reasonably limited. Thank you. We will now begin with our salute to the flag. Where is the flag? Okay. Well, Mr. Solero, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I can't even see it. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mr. Solero. We will move on to item number 1, which is roll call. May I ask for each trustee to announce their presence?
Trustee Moser, present.
Trustee Rowe.
Present.
Trustee Jacks, present.
Trustee
to
Silver,
speak.
present. Great. Not hearing from Trustee Rodriguez. Perhaps she is on her way. We're going to start with item 2, land acknowledgement, which I'm going to ask Vice Chair Moser to address.
Thank you. We begin by acknowledging that we gather today on the ancestral homelands of the Washoe, Numu, Niue, Niwu, and Pipaaha, the original caretakers of the land that we now call Nevada. Washoe County, formerly named after the Washoe people in 1861, continues to be a gathering place and home for indigenous peoples, and we recognize their rich history and deep connections to these lands. May we honor their past, present, and future stewardship by remembering that the health of the land and its people are inextricably linked. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will move on to item number 3, public comment. 3-minute time limit per person. I don't have, I can get lists of people who have signed up. Thank you so much. You'll be called in order of your signature. We will start out with Jody Baden. Please step up. The mic should be on. No, you can hold it if that works.
Okay, these things are always tricky. So I'm Jody Baden. I'm the founder of the News Literate Community Initiative in Washoe County, and I want to thank you for your service. I was on the school board here, so I know a little bit about service, so thank you for that. I want to start with a quote from Hannah Arendt, who is a philosopher and historian, a German woman who lived through the Holocaust and through World War II. The ideal subject of totalitarianism is not the convinced fascist, the convinced communist, but people for whom the distinction between fact and fiction and distinction between true and false no longer exists. So I think that's just a little intro into why it's so important for the News Literate Community Initiative to be here at this particular time. So our mission is to fight truth decay, which sounds a little funny, but it is fighting truth decay by giving people tools, tips, and techniques to better tell fact from fiction in all kinds of news, health news, economic news, current events, and so forth. The Pew Research Center recently released a report saying that Most Americans agree that Republicans and Democrats cannot agree on basic facts. This would explain much of our division. So the News Literate Community Initiative is now fiscally sponsored by the AHA Projects. So that is a 501c3 nonprofit. So we can receive donations and grants, and we're excited about that. Some things we are not. We are not political. We are not governmental. And we are not the arbiters of truth. We are not here to tell people what to think, but how to think. We're focused on Washoe County. We're a group of concerned citizens from a wide range of perspectives who want to provide skills to the community to better tell fact from fiction. We have 3 projects. One of them is particularly interesting, I think, to the library. We know you're under a lot of stress with your budget, and we want to help you expand your messages, especially during News Literacy Week, which is in February 2nd through 6th. The libraries have been involved in the past, but there's so much great information that comes out. We want to help the libraries push this out to the community. We're designing an ambassador program to bring this kind of information on how to think to interested groups in the community, parent groups, church groups, service clubs, any interested groups. And we're planning a summit for the spring, which would be open to the community in anticipation of all those nasty ads that'll be bombarding you during the primaries. So
Thank
that's it
you.
for me.
Your time
Thank
is
you.
up.
I invite you all to our next meeting.
Thank you very much. Laura Weatherington?
Hi, Laura Weatherington for the record. I want to thank the board for the tremendous work these last few months. This is some heavy lifting, and I really appreciate the time and thoughtfulness you've put into supporting our library system. I'm here now to ask you to accept Assistant County Manager Solero's recommendation to carry forward the fiscal year 26 budget as the base, with adjustments for contractual obligations and an above base request for a 10% book budget. I support this recommendation because I believe the library is an essential service. The fiscal year 26 book budget links the library to the county's strategic plan through its service to vulnerable populations. I'm thinking about the story a librarian told in one of these meetings about a former prisoner recently released who needed help opening an email account so he could look for jobs. I'm thinking about all the people in our community who don't have the time or opportunity to attend these meetings, but who have a vested interest in the library system. I'm thinking about the Nevada Independents quoting our incoming state superintendent of schools, who said, Nevada's low literacy rate is the most pressing issue in the state. Education issue, excuse me. I take seriously the library's mission to connect people with information, ideas, and experiences one person at a time. And I think some of the most vulnerable populations are not often here in this forum. And that is why the Assistant County Manager's suggestion to follow the branch librarian's recommendations makes sense, because they have the bird's eye view of each branch's particular needs. In her Budget 101 slides, Lori Cook listed the library's budget as 2% of Washoe County's total budget, 2% in fiscal year 26. While I appreciate this board's desire to be responsible with the public's money, I also believe this comparably small purse is already stretched thin. The Nevada Library Archive and Public Records states about library board advocacy, quote, remember, the reason you were appointed to the library board is because you have the ability to help improve the library's services. I implore you to do that now. On a more personal note, when my husband and I moved back to Reno, I brought our son to the downtown library, one of my favorite libraries in the whole world, this place that I fell in love with as a teenager. I explained how to make a wish in the pond, and because he was 4, he said out loud, I wish I were a tiger, and then he threw his penny in. Public libraries are the containers for our collective imaginations. Though this is not quantifiable in a budget, it's a rich return on investment. A thriving library is the hub of a thriving community. Thank you.
You. Next, William Puchert.
I'd like to address some of the complaints that the self-proclaimed First Amendment auditor I was complaining about at the previous meeting. First of all, what is this person's obsession with wanting to go to LGBTQ plus events? This should be explored further. I'm also wondering why he is still allowed to set foot in the library after he was thrown out for injuring a library employee where there was a noticeable bruise. This is just one of the questionable policies and actions this board has undertaken in the past couple of years. One of them is instituting closures at our libraries due to budgetary issues. We are left in this dilemma because local radical right Republicans perpetuated a myth that the library bond last year would raise taxes. This was aided and abetted by one of the trustees who was quoted as saying, "All I want for Christmas is for this bond to fail." We now also have a library system without a director because one was forced to resign and the other is left on indefinite leave. No matter what the rationale was for this, the perception in our community is that this board is given in to pressure by the radical right. Now I'm hearing rumors that this, our beloved downtown library branch, is being considered closed due to budgetary constraints. And I hope that is not true because of its iconic architecture, its central access to the community, and its natural beauty. And to those who are clinging to notion that staffing shortages can be dealt by volunteers, first, this is undependable, and I would think that some of the public employee unions may take issue with this. I noticed that one of you trustees wrote an editorial that questioned the ethics of a Reno elected official before the Ethics Commission dismissed those charges. This is an example of rendering an opinion without allowing due process to prevail, something that seems to be a pattern on this board. And to the notion of questioning the ethics, I would remind that trustee that those who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones.
Thank you. Joni Hammond.
Good evening, excuse me. Good evening, Chair and Trustees. I'm Joni Hammond. Why does it matter if kids see sex in libraries? The mission at Take Back the Classroom, Karen England at Capital Resource Institute, is to have pervasive vulgarity taken out of the hands of children to protect their innocence. It's that simple. But not everyone agrees with this. Some of the reasons people use to defend giving children pornography and graphic sex ed are as absurd as you'd think. One, keeping porn from kids is a violation of their First Amendment rights. Two, these books help teach children about inclusivity. Three, it's critical for children's health that they understand everything about sex. Each one of these reasons is easy to dispute and disprove. Let's break it down. Number one, seeing porn is a First Amendment right. Let's revisit the 1982 Island Trees School District versus Pico by Pico Supreme Court case. In this case, the court stated that while a school board has no right to remove ideologies they don't agree with, such as political or philosophical, they do have a right to remove books based on them being pervasively vulgar or having educational unsuitability. The bottom line, there's no First Amendment violation when a library board removes pornography from its libraries. Seeing porn promotes inclusivity. Pervasively vulgar books often include characters who have been labeled as marginalized, such as LGBTQIA+ or Black characters. It's a disingenuous lie to say children need vulgar, violent, explicit sexual content in order to gain an understanding of their fellow human beings. The only people who are truly being excluded by removing these books, groomers. Overt sexual content and kids' health. If we compiled all the information about how unhealthy it is to sexualize children, we could fill this library. Here are some highlights from the research. Mental stability and 3 times suicide risk. When children are exposed to sexual content, it's a form of sexual abuse. Even non-contact sexual abuse is considered abuse. Psychologists at the University of Manchester and the University of South Wales analyzed 68 separate studies on child abuse and concluded that people who experience sexual abuse as a child are 3 times more likely to attempt suicide than their peers who are not sexually abused. It's a maddening lie to say that it's healthy to expose children to things that leave them in a state of lifelong trauma. Let's keep pervasive vulgarity and pornography in the adult sections. Children do not need to read and see this.
Thank you. Krista Flanagan?
Krista Flanagan for the record. I apologize in advance. I didn't write this down. I'm just winging it. I wanted to take a moment to thank everyone today for the opportunity to speak and for all the work that's been done on the budget and the different options and the different things available. And I wanted to take a second to empower you all. If there is, we've seen a lot of great numbers. I know we're going to see a lot of great numbers from Mr. Solero as well. But if there is something that you guys want to see in the libraries and not reflected in those budgets, then I empower you and encourage you to fight for it. I don't know a thing about budget negotiations. That is not something I have experience with. The closest thing I have experience with is salary negotiations, which I've been moderately successful at in my personal life. And what I was always told was aim for the moon so you land among the stars. In one case, I think the salary range for a position was 65 to 70. So I asked for 70 and I got 70. So you never know. The worst they can say is no. Best case scenario, hopefully, if there's a $20,000 budget, no, sorry, probably more than that. If there's a budget number that you're looking for, you're like, I know we said this number, but I really want to support this program and that will take this amount of money. Ask for it. You guys have that power, you have that ability, and I would love to see you guys fight for those programs and things that you guys really care about, because that is what you are here to do today. So keeping it short, keeping it sweet. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. Laura Fallon?
Hello, everyone. My name is Laura Fallon. This is my first ever time giving public comment live. I do so because I heard about discussions here previously that were of great concern to me. I really appreciate your time and attention and hope that you give me grace given that context along the way. Recently, I have been a regular attendee at the Reno Quaker Friends meeting, which is the Religious Society of Friends for the Quakers. Last month, I had the great privilege and pride to walk in the Reno Pride Parade alongside my fellow Quakers. Many other Christian religious organizations walked in the Pride Parade. Some of them sponsored the Pride Parade. And it's important for our public services to respect people's religious freedom, for the library to reflect that some religious Christian institutions do embrace their LGBTQ and other individuals, have that tolerance. I would also encourage this organization to follow its own guidelines along these lines. In the Washoe County document for the library entitled, I'll pull it up right here, the Collection Development and Management Policy. For those who aren't familiar with it, is a policy on what books to make sure are represented here in our public library. And in that specific document, your own guidelines, it states, and I quote, collection development should reflect the philosophy inherent in the Library Bill of Rights. Books and other library resources should be provided for the interest, information, and enlightenment of all people of the community the library serves. Materials should not be excluded because of the origin, background, or views of those contributing to their creation. A diverse collection should contain content by and about a wide array of people and cultures to authentically reflect a variety of ideas, information, stories, and experiences. I'll skip ahead. It goes on to say best practices in collection development assert that materials should not be excluded from a collection solely because the content or its creator may be considered offensive or controversial. So whilst some folks in this room may consider certain information offensive or controversial, that is not grounds from your own documentation for exclusion. And I hope that the library expands its budget to have more representative materials that are hard to find in its current volume of resources. Thank you.
Thank you. Kate Salim.
Kate Salim for the record. Before I begin my formal kind of notes, I did want to say I greatly appreciate the work that has gone into creating the presentations for the budget and the inclusion of the other additional 3 libraries in those presentations. A comment was made to me that it was suggested that only volunteers need to be at the senior library, and I hope that our seniors will also get library staff, and as they deserve that as well. I'm here to address a statement recorded in the minutes from the last board meeting, and I quote, Chair Silver suggested there is no need for an assistant director and that managers could oversee more than one branch. Emphasize the need to look at the library like a business to meet everyone's needs. I would like to ask how this significant idea came about. There was no public conversation about eliminating this key leadership position until that meeting. To date, there has been no data or formal study provided to the public to justify such a suggestion. The only prior conversation has been that the interim director position was not required. Now, without any public input or justification, the entire position is suggested for elimination. This lack of transparency is unacceptable. Major decisions that affect the library's operational structure must involve the community and be backed by meaningful evidence. The elimination of the assistant library director role is not a minor operational change. It requires careful consideration. According to Washoe County Human Resources, the position classification was created in 2015 and was last reviewed and revised as recently as May 2022. This recent review affirms the position's necessity within the county's organizational structure. If the board wants to eliminate this role, it has a responsibility to study the impact until a comprehensive study is presented to the public, demonstrating that the library can function more effectively without this position. I ask the chair to formally withdraw her suggestion. At this point, the moves seem to be based on personal animus rather than sound administrative judgment. Thank you.
Mr. Rebar, thank you. Drew Rebar.
Drew Rebar for the record. Wonder if I'm going to get all my comments in tonight. One of the rules you said is I can't swear up here. But yet Cohen versus California and the U.S. Supreme Court says I can. So why are we making rules that violate the Constitution by the library? All these people get up here and talk about not censoring stuff, yet here we in public comments censor me. You put rules out there that are frankly unconstitutional, says the U.S. Supreme Court, Cohen versus California. Shit. Kick me out, I dare you. So Kate Salim was just up here, and I've got to disagree with her. I talked about the employees at the library in the last meeting in my public comments before I was rudely interrupted. The interesting thing about Kate Salim is she's a Washoe County government employee. And for the last 2 meetings, I've been rudely interrupted by the German filmmakers that get in my way all the time. And they interrupt my public comments, and this board has allowed that to happen. Kate Salim has been passing them notes. She's a government employee that's involved in this disruption of my public comment. Why does a county employee get to play a part in interrupting my public comment? I'm also a candidate for Assembly District 40, so I'm looking at policies and processes that would help the public. And yet every time I turn around, I'm stymied by, it seems, government employees. Now, my ideas are not necessarily to benefit government employees. My ideas are to benefit the public in general. And what I see is everybody gets up here and complains about WC1 not passing. But what WC1 really was a building fund for the library, if I recall. We were supposed to build new libraries. But instead, what seemed to happen with WC1 in the previous taxes is instead of building new libraries, because we're still in a mall in North Valleys, those funds got diverted. So what I see is corruption. And where they got diverted to was government employees. We got more government employees now from a building fund, and now we're short money because the new building fund didn't get passed, and now the government employers are upset that they might lose their jobs. But yet the whole thing was a building fund, and it was corruptly taken away and not given to the public so that they could have new library buildings. And if you go through this library, half the shelves are empty. It's really crazy. But we need to change some things. So do what you need to do, cut down on the employees. And for my last 15 seconds, let's have a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. Try it one more time. They're interrupting my time again. I'd like to reclaim my time. Reclaim my time. Remove the people that are interrupting me.
Clapping. So if you don't mind, let's all play by the same rules.
Can I have my moment of silence, 15 seconds?
I can't stop people from speaking during your request for a moment of silence.
No, you can remove them from the meeting per the rules.
Just let's.
I'd like my 15 seconds of moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. Can I have that?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
No one stopped you from this table. And if you would abide by the conduct with no clapping, yelling, or cheering, you are entitled to 15 seconds any way you want to use them.
Thank you. I can stand here all night long until I get my 15 seconds.
No, you can't, sir.
So you're going to let these people make noises and interrupt me.
Mr. Rebar, you've had your 3 minutes.
I didn't get my
Thank you.
15 seconds of silence.
I cannot.
When the transsexual dude got up here, you gave him a minute of silence. How come I'm different? Why does the LGBTQ get precedence?
I've asked for everyone
I didn't get it.
to abide
Third time.
by
Third time you let
rules
this
of
happen.
conduct.
Third time you let it happen. You let this happen.
I can't stop.
No, you
from
can't. The
coughing.
rules say you can kick them out. You said it in the very beginning. I listen to the rules.
It doesn't include coughing.
That's not coughing. That's interrupting.
I would ask people not to interrupt
Because
those who
nobody's
speak.
coughing.
Thank you.
The German filmmaker that's friends with a county employee. You know who they are?
Anyone need to cough? Please go ahead. If not, I'm proceeding with the next public comment. Sir, the dramatic cough doesn't need to occur, if you don't mind. We will move on to public comment. Elise Beaupre? Elise? I'll move on to Ella Marsh. Ella Marsh? Thank you. No? No, Ella Marsh. Victoria Pichat?
Good evening, members of the board. I appreciate the time to give public comments here today. I'm a third-year PhD student at the University of Nevada, Reno. I study the immune system of caterpillars and try to find out what we can learn from the natural world. I had the wonderful honor of setting up some displays recently at the Northwest Reno Library about insect diversity in the Great Basin, Sierra Nevada, and beyond, and it was a cool opportunity. And that's just one example of one of the exchanges between educators and the public, right? I grew up with libraries. Originally, I'm from New York. Libraries were one of the most integral parts of my childhood. My parents both worked full-time, and the library was where my siblings and I spent our days, including the weekends. It was where I first learned about nature, about the intricacies of the beautiful world we live in, and how to conserve it for future generations. The library was also where I learned about our government, civic engagement, and civil rights. The library is the center for education and resources, especially for kids. Libraries performing at their full capacity without banning books based on origin, background, or views are the center of our communities. They provide the educational resources for the next generation of educators, scientists, healthcare workers, business owners, government officials, you name it. I, along with other young adults and kids of Gen Z, urge the board to request the maximum possible funding for the budget of our libraries. Thank you.
Thank you. Jessica Brown?
Yes, my name is Jess Brown, and I want to start by thanking you all for volunteering your service for this board. I also want to tell you that every single time I visit the library, I am welcomed in by smiling faces, and I see carefully curated educational displays, and I hear toddlers playing and giggling, and I spend time working near elderly veterans who are using the computers. And I'm always struck by the fact that libraries are for everyone. And I'm struck by this a lot because I am a grad student at UNR, and libraries are one of the only peaceful places where I can work without the expectation of spending money. Libraries also provide me with free access to books, both for my education and also as a hobby to keep me sane in stressful times. But what's even more important to me than myself having access to a peaceful space and free books and resources is that I live in a community where everyone, especially children and teens, have equal access to these resources without financial barriers, because I know how important and life-changing that has been to me. I pay taxes in this community, and this is something that I am happy for my taxes to go toward. This is especially true when less than half of the children in our local schools are reading at their grade level. Cutting our library budget is not how we solve that. So while I would actually be thrilled to see the library budget increase, at the very least, I am asking you to submit a budget that fully funds our library system at its current operation costs. This is the only way to ensure that our libraries are able to continue operating with their full hours, with their full staff, and maintain their physical and digital collections. I can't stress enough how important that is for our community. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Janet Butcher? Extra.
Janet Butcher for the record. The whole banned books narrative is a flat out lie. It is weaponized talking point used to shame parents into silence. No one is banning books. We're asking a simple question. Should graphic pornography scenes describing rape, incest, and oral sex between minors be sitting on the public county library shelves in reach of children? The library, which is paid for by hardworking taxpayers. That's not censorship, that's basic decency. There is a world of difference between protecting freedom of speech and handing explicit sexual material to children under the banner of literacy. The real question everyone should be asking is this: why are these adults so desperate to keep this kind of material in front of children? What kind of person fights harder for a child's access to sexual content than for their safety, literacy, or moral development? Protecting kids isn't book banning. It's moral clarity, and it's long overdue. We must protect the hearts and minds of our children. It is not bullying, as stated by one of the Washoe County Library trustees at another county library meeting. The banned books talking point is a storyline put forth by the ALA. Why does our county library and staff have to play along with the Library Association? Is our county libraries funded by ALA or by the taxpayer? There have been displays created by the librarians at various branches supporting this fallacy, and a whole page in the Library Explorer magazine. Where do they get the time to create these banned or challenged books, displays, and or cost of the page? I am also handing an attachment, as I did not want to read it out loud, as we are usually gavelled down and or the meeting is recessed because the adults' tender ears are offended by what the children are exposed to. I do want to thank the trustees for their hard work in attempting to rein in the efficiency of the budget, and only hope that there is not a behind-the-scenes collaboration between one of the political parties and the Washoe Board of County Commissioners. The chair of the Washoe County Commission may have alluded to this at the October 14th, 2025 commission meeting. I'm quickly going to add, it's really a shame that people can't honor an assassinated person.
Thank you. Sandy Tibbet.
First, I want to express my appreciation to the staff for their diligence and to the trustees for their commitment to our library system. Your leadership, or their leadership, sound decision-making are establishing a solid foundation for the ongoing success for our libraries. Through their prudent management of community interest and fiscal obligations, they are ensuring our facilities remain valuable resources for education and engagement throughout our community, both now and in the future. The dedication and foresight demonstrated by all involved is highly commendable, and I am confident their efforts, your efforts, will continue to enhance our library system's positive influence. So thank you for that. Mr. Solero's staff report presents a comprehensive framework and a clear direction for implementing a demand-driven staffing model. The ideal schedule establishes an efficient foundation by allocating 418 weekly branch hours without incurring additional personnel costs, which is amazing, and achieving a targeted 4% reduction in low traffic branches. This approach enables the strategic reallocation of resources, extending evening hours at the higher demand locations, South Valleys and Northwest Reno, while maintaining alignment with our strategic plan, with emphasis on literacy and community access, all within existing staffing levels. Amazing. The baseline total of 17,948,000 with the addition of 299,000 for titles represents a manageable and efficient fiscal approach. I like it. So to better meet our community's needs and provide a more balanced service, I propose further reduction in operating hours for our low traffic locations. Because North Valley's branch has less traffic compared to other locations, and they do, I suggest closing it 30 minutes or 1 hour earlier, Monday through Saturday. The hours saved could then be reassigned to the Verdi branch, ensuring it continues to offer 9.5 hours of service each week. I believe it is vital to have the Verdi branch open to accommodate the students who are released early from school on Wednesdays. Very important. In alignment to avoid any new hires, I strongly recommend the board considers the integrating of a floating staffing pool to support our highly popular youth and senior programs. Implementing a floating staffing pool would help address any existing gaps caused by limited personnel. This target allocation of resources would enhance operational efficiency and enable us to provide programming where it best serves our community. One last question. Who was the assistant library director prior to Stacy McKenzie? Did Jeff Scott have an assistant library director prior to her?
Sorry, your time is up, Ms.
Well, if not, then we don't need one.
Thank you. Are there any other? Thank you. Bethune? I can't read the last name. Barbu? I'm sorry. Please come up. I'm sorry.
My name is Ithne Barton for the record.
Thank you.
Thank you, board members, for the opportunity to speak and for your time and effort on behalf of our library services and behalf of our community. I come to you as a Reno resident, champion of our library system and of the wonderful community service our libraries provide. Specifically, I'd like to speak about the Sierra View Library. So if you go to their website today, you'll find that for the remainder of the month, and I'm just going to highlight a couple of the opportunities that people have as community members to access services at this particular library. On Wednesdays, there's a 7-week course offered in 2 90-minute sessions on Wednesdays for family estate planning. It's an invaluable opportunity provided by the Community Foundation in part. It helps people plan for their futures. They can get power of attorney taken care of and learn about that, learn about how to protect their digital assets and even long-term care considerations. A workbook is included in that. So that's an amazing opportunity. Right after that, it's baby story time. And then after that, the following day, toddler time. And then there's opportunities for tutoring and homework help also on Thursdays. This coming Friday, it's a Celebrate Down Syndrome Awareness Month. And so they have actually a guest speaker. And then there's, it just sounds like a very inclusive event highlighting something that many of our families have to manage and accessing services. And so highlighting the diversity in our community. There's also crafternoons on Fridays. So this particular Friday, it's Ghost Resist Paintings. And so it's all the family is invited for this. And then next Friday, I think there's another craft opportunity highlighting for October, the month of, for Halloween. On game days, there's Saturdays, there's game days. And then also there's an opportunity to make, so here's like a recycling opportunity. It's called Franken Toys. You get to unleash your inner Dr. Frankenstein, get creative with salvage toys, dismantle, reattach, and let your imagination fly. So here's a recycling opportunity as well. The other things, let's see. Oh, and then next Wednesday and Thursday, a Dracula escape room. So 4 of these events for hour-long opportunities, yet another way for people of the community to come together. And then next Saturday, or actually Saturday, November 1st, there's a presentation. It's a monthly presentation by the Nevada Historical Society. So as you can see, there are many opportunities touching many parts of our community, different age groups, different demographics, and all of this helpful for our community. In looking at what I can see from the proposed budget and the cuts that are to come, I would advocate, I think most of us here in this room would say that we don't want any services cut, and these services are vital, and accessing community resources is already part of what we do. But I would also say that if with the proposed schedule for Sierra View Library, all of the opportunities for community members to participate are on Tuesday through Saturday. And right now, the proposal is to close on Sunday and Monday, so none of them would be harmed.
Thank you very much. Cliff Nellis.
Hi, my name is Cliff Nellis for the record, and I am here for the children. If you are a good parent, what do? You protect your children's ears and eyes from things that are bad influences. On the playground, you can have one child that can corrupt many children by communicating to them things that the parents don't want communicated. You can have a child down the street come and play with your children and then start talking about things that are inappropriate that you would not allow that child to hear, your child to hear. But what do we have in these libraries? We have been talking to you guys about obscenity. We're not talking about banning books. It can be in the adult section, like Janet said. We're talking about taking them out of the children's section. And you guys still have done absolutely nothing on that. So we have our taxpayer-funded library system that is doing the job of some child some corrupt child on the playground, corrupting our children. And that should not be happening in this library system. We have this cult, and a lot of them are sitting behind us. And one of the members of that cult, it was called Armed Queers of Salt Lake City. And he decided to shoot somebody dead named Charlie Kirk. And these people behind me, they don't have the respect for 15 seconds. It used to be that Republicans and Democrats would disagree on a lot of things, but at least we would show respect for someone getting killed. And polls are out that show that 50% of Democrats actually approve of the murder of Charlie Kirk because he was a very powerful influence in a positive way on young people. And we really need to change things or the libraries are going to become irrelevant. I think libraries are great. I think it's better to have a physical book and looking at it than a digital device that's bombarding you with radio frequencies. But we have a Marxist, or at least a far left lady, that's choosing the books for the library. And you know her name. I won't say her name, but you know, it's a very unbalanced library system and does not represent the community. I'm just asking you guys to appoint a director that can kind of balance things out. You had an opportunity when, you know, I told you guys that, hey, we need to privatize it because then we can just fire all these people and replace them with normal people. But we can't do that because they're, you know, public employees. But at least we need a director that's balanced. And I plead with you to give us a director that's balanced and to get this obscenity off of the shelves of children.
Thank you. Rosie Zuckerman.
Hi, Rosie Zuckerman for the record. I just wanted to make a quick comment to say how much I love the libraries. I love being here. And I wanted to point out one difference, just as a reminder for all of us, that I love bookstores too, of course. But unlike a store that has to turn a profit, the library is this wonderful thing where it is a public institution where it does not need to turn a profit. Instead, it is a community resource where people can access information, all types of information for free. So I just felt like that was an important thing to highlight, that we don't need to run our libraries or our public institutions like businesses, that they are public institutions and they're here for us all to access for free. Thank you.
Thank you. Stacy Spain.
Hello, my name is Stacy Spain. Chair and Commissioners, thank you for this opportunity to speak. I'm a Washoe County resident, a parent, community partner. I'm here to express strong support for the Washoe County Library System and its mission to serve our county's diverse and at-risk neighbors. Libraries are not luxuries. They are public infrastructure like roads, water, and fire protection that keep a community healthy and resilient. Every day, our libraries open doors for people who might otherwise be shut out. Seniors managing fixed incomes, veterans transitioning to civilian work, young families building early literacy, new Americans learning English, job seekers updating resumes, students without home internet, and LGBTQ youth looking for a safe place to read and study and simply be themselves. When we say access, we mean tangible lifelines, free Wi-Fi, and device lending so residents can apply for jobs and benefits, quiet study rooms for teens who don't have one at home, early learning story times that boost kindergarten readiness, homework help, and STEAM programs that keep curiosity alive, legal and health information that is vetted and reliable, and curated collections that reflect the full breadth of our county, rural and urban, multilingual and multi-generational, and multicultural. For many at-risk neighbors, the library is the first door that's opened, the first yes they hear. It is one of the few places that you can come in with nothing, no money, no appointment, no purchase required, and leave with something, knowledge, connection, dignity, and a plan. I want to thank you for all of your work here, and I want to ask that you continue to serve the entire community.
Thank you. That's the last public comment we have at this time. We will now move on to item number 4, board comment. This is a non-action item limited to announcements, strategic plan activity, updates, or issues proposed for future agendas and/or workshops. Any comments from my fellow trustees? I will just mention that if necessary, I will be asking to schedule perhaps an additional meeting based on the serious task before us, which is to look at the budget. We've taken into account many public comments, individuals who, like ourselves, are very invested in our library system. And so we have hard work to do before we need to present this budget to the Washoe County Commissioners. So in the event there needs to be an additional meeting, I hope you will entertain attending that. I don't have any plans at this time, but I want to see what comes of this evening. Thank you. Any other board comments? Hearing none at this time.
Vice Chair
Oh,
Moser.
please. Vice Chair.
Thank you everyone for your public comments today. I wanted to give thanks for Jody from the News Literate Board for coming and presenting the information on your nonprofit. I think that's a great offer for the library to accept that partnership and help. So please do invite us personally, if you, as well as the librarians and the other staff. It was appreciated that you came today and I could learn more about that. I also wanted to bring up in terms of when we do interview for a library director, I think it's important that we utilize some of the comments today in terms of recycling or having things that we can also rent and take away from every individual owning things. So you can rent a DVD player, CD player, whatever you need. So I'm going to be making sure when we go through the hiring process that that's a question that the director is able to answer and has experience with. I think we should be able to provide to protect our brains as well as our property. So in hearing about the family estate planning, I think that's also important and in alignment to the mission of the library. So thank you for your comment. That's all.
Thank you. Vice Chair. Other comments?
I do.
Trustee Jacks?
Madam Chair, Trustee Jacks, for the record. I just want to thank everybody for being here today. Happy tax deadline day. I want to say hi to my kids. And then I just wanted to make a couple comments. When it gets to the budget, I'll have some comments about that there. But we are I am specifically looking for more public comment, and I do have some paperwork that I'll share with the board and for the record that gives, my email address specifically. So as trustees, regarding public comment, if you have questions or comments about the library, please contact any trustee. You can see our website for everybody's unique email address. If you use the Washoe County Speak Up portal, it does not reach the library board. It reaches the county commissioners on a whole. That's one way to reach the leadership above the library board, but to reach public comment to the library board, specifically board members, all of you are on the website. You know that there's a process where it gets emailed, the public comments, and it goes through the records and it comes to the board. So in our agenda packet, the public will see the public commenters and the emails that are received from our email system, which is subject to the open meeting law. It's all public records. So when you email a library board trustee, for example, it is subject to public records requests. So everybody can see your email address. For instance, if you put your name and phone number, all that is subject to public records unless it's redacted, which the county tries to redact, but then we get emails ourselves personally to us with private information that we get. But when it is put into the minutes, you'll see that the county does make every effort to redact the email addresses. in the packets, as you'll all see. I have for the record some information that some of the public comments are from people that I do not know and have made comments on whether email or the Speak Up portal that could be considered slanderous or libel. However, it depends if you speak it or write it. But the emails that come in, all of that is subject to public records. And if I don't know you and you say something about me, I'll bring it up. And that's just not the way it works. I don't know specifically Dr. Overton from UNR. I don't know those people when they send in public comments. So I want to be careful when we see those public records that we have all your information when you send it in. And we do have a problem with getting more public comment. I don't know if you all have problems with emails, if you're out, you can't reach it. So I have for the record to share with everyone all that information. These are the new, my board comments briefly. I know we have, these are the new library bags. I don't know if anybody's got them. I have 3 of them. I have 3 of everything. I wish they had a zipper because if your bags fall and all the books splatter, you don't know which kid's books are which. So a zipper would be helpful. There's a big movement. This is my kids' sign. This is our reading zone sign that we have and such. And there's a homeschool group that sent me a homeschool library tour. There's never been a homeschool group that does tours of the libraries. And so there's a big group that says they don't really utilize the libraries enough. And I think that's got to change. So I did want to just make a couple comments for the record. You know, sometimes me personally as a trustee, we look at electronics and notes, reference materials that are distributed only to this board, or me personally, sometimes I only get them electronically, but I do try to print everything. Please don't take this as a sign of disrespect. If we are looking at our notes, taking notes, possibly taking drinks, or smiling at something unexpected, I personally do not mean to be disrespectful if you take it that way. I want to encourage you to send your public comments again for the record. I'll put this into the record to gjax@washoucounty.gov. And I think that's important. We really appreciate the public comments. And when we get to the budget, Madam Chair, I'll have some other information to discuss. Thank you. That was all.
Any other comments from the trustees? Hearing none, I will move on to item number 5, approval of meeting minutes. These are the minutes that we've received based on the October 1st, 2025 meeting, and this is for a possible action of approval. Do I have any comments on the minutes? Yes, Trustee Rodriguez.
Do we have the list of the people that signed up for public comment from the October 1st meeting? Because a couple days after that, a person that I'm acquainted with said that she had signed up for public comment and her name was never called. So I would like to know if we have those lists, just to, and I don't really know how that could go on. Whether we could approve the minutes knowing that name wasn't called, or if maybe she just thought she signed in and didn't. So I'd like to just verify that.
Well, I don't know who it is, but if people sign in, I get several sheets.
Yeah.
They're dated, they're checked off.
Okay,
and I submit
do we
them
have
for the
them here
minutes.
that I can check and see if she
Can
actually,
you have the what?
do we have them? Is that from the last meeting?
This is for today.
No, from the last meeting, the one.
I turn them in for the minutes. I don't
Okay.
keep the list.
Okay, well,
If you can give the name of the individual, we can go back and look. I don't generally miss anybody. I check them off as they speak.
you have it, or should I just email you later? Okay, I'll just email.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments on the minutes from the meeting of October 1st? Hearing none, if I could have a motion to approve the minutes?
Madam Chair, Trustee Ruff, for the record, I move that we accept the minutes from the previous meeting.
Thank you. Do I have a second? I will second. All those in favor of approval of the minutes from the October 1st meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Did you say aye?
Well, I would like to check and make sure if she was missed or not, but it doesn't change the fact of the minutes, so aye.
So you're an aye. Okay. So I have 4 ayes,
One nay,
1 nay.
just for the record, thanks.
All right. We will move on to general business. The first item, 6A, is a presentation of a video approximately 10 minutes long, outlining a day in the life of a full-service library branch at the Washoe County Library System. This is a non-action item and for information only. Thank you.
Chair, if I may, Dave Solaro, Assistant County Manager. So this is called Going to Work with Washoe County Library. It's a short video produced by the administrative staff here at the library system, kind of outlining, what happens at the 8 main branches and the Senior Center Library. This is, really showcases some of the work that goes into the, hundreds of things that the library system does. As you'll recall, at the October 1st meeting, in the staff report, there were 9 pages of tasks, we'll call them, that librarians do to become a full service librarian. So really wanted to show something visually to our community so they really understand what it takes to run a library system. So thank you.
Going for the record. Okay.
I'm Amy, and I'm a library assistant at the South Valleys Library, and we're setting up for story time today. We start with a welcome song, and then we do felt stories, and we also do songs with felt stories, and we also do puppets, and we're going to read some books, and Mr. Eric is going to play some music for us.
Perfect. Here's yours. You guys can share a ticket though, right? Yeah. Hi Zoe, how are you this morning?
Little ducks went out one day over the hills and far away. Let's find out what kind of sounds these animals make.
So this is the adult bin, so all adult material goes here. This is the kids bin, which we'll fill it multiple times this morning because it's story time. And then this one over here is the exceptions bin. So this is where everything that is on hold for someone or needs to, for some reason, go to another branch goes over here. So we pay attention to these first. Lots of Halloween books coming through right now. Try to get this. So you can't open this if somebody is putting things in. So you have to really make sure you hustle to get these out before the next person comes in. So these now coming from these bins, they go back on our shelving carts over here. We have to be careful we put things back where they go so that they don't end up on the wrong shelves when they go out.
So at the info desk, we're here to say hello to people as they come in. We're here to help people get into the meeting room, help them if they have any AV questions. We'll take them to the back, open up the room, give them the AV materials if they need it, and show them how to use it if we need to. Also, if they're going to be after-hour users, we show them how to do the alarm so that if they're leaving after we are already closed up, they know how to set the alarm as they go out. We help people find their holds. We help people get on the computer. And then also, every hour, as you know, the hour, if it's quiet, we'll walk around, make sure if anybody needs help, we're showing that we're available.
Hi, my name is Maya. I'm working today at the Senior Center Library. So today our machine started showing the no change button on our coin machine for printing. So we opened it up and we are trying to use the manual that we have to figure out why that is, because there is change in the machine. Once I finish working here, I will then go to the Sparks Library to finish out my day. The Senior Center Library is staffed by Sparks Library workers.
Right now, I'm shelving holds, making sure that they're going in the proper location so that our patrons can find them.
Well, right now I need to work on the schedules for the next 2 weeks for staff and sending an email about our upcoming program this spring. And then looking to make sure that I have programs that need to be in this calendar of events that don't fall on holidays. So making sure that we have programs and events for all of our community, right? Like for the toddlers, for the kids, for the teens, for the seniors, offering something for everyone that we serve in our community. And that's one of my main jobs here at Incline, is to make sure that we represent everyone.
I was doing this job of cleaning the donated books so that we give them, we send these books to three places. We either sell them in our library, or we send them down to Reno. I'm in Klein Village. Send them down to Reno and let Friends of the Library send them to raise money. Or we send them to Better World Books, who distributes them all over the world to schools. So this one's all cleaned up and ready to go. We don't have very much room. This is our storage for donations. So I have to keep it moving. Okay, I'm gonna go sort them back in the back now, put them in the right bins.
I am currently working on the newsletter for Incline Village. So we send one out once a month at the beginning of the month, which has got all the events that are happening specifically here at Incline Village. And so every time somebody signs up for a library card, we'll ask them if they want to be included in that newsletter list. Or if somebody comes in asking a question like, what's the next book for the book club, then we will ask them then if they want to be added to the newsletter, because that information is all held within there.
So right now, just grabbing the returns from up front when patrons bring them in instead of the automated machine. They check them in, we bring it back, get it in order, and now this card has enough on it to roll out to be shelved. Answer the phones back here at the drive-up window. So you got the phone if anyone comes in to pick up holds. As you see, we shelve drive-up holds back here. And then, of course, we have the AMH where people can return their items 24/7. While we're open, we empty that, recheck them just to make sure they got checked in, and then shelve them along with the rest of the stuff that got returned. Sure. Oh. And it looks like we have a window. Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
Tables for the Dungeons and Dragons program and discussing with the two people that showed up early about, so it's mostly for teens, it's for 12 to 18. I've been able to split people up. Some people I've sent over to Sparks. Some people started their own game. They come here every week, and there's 6 of them, and they just do their own thing, so they don't come to my event anymore. I still use library resources. I provided them with a map and stuff. And, I actually prefer that because they became friends. None of them knew each other before coming here, so that's nice. I've had over 250 something different teams over the last 4 years. 1, 2, 3. I mean, I've had a lot. 14-ish is the average. I've had people as old as 18. Before he went to college, I had 2 of my regular DMs every week. They started coming here when I started running the program in 2021, and they were running tables every week. And then they went to UNR. Now they don't come here anymore, run tables. So I gotta. Hello! Hello, Tallulah. Hello, Bishop. Come in. Penny, I want you to update your maximum HP to your current level. Do you just want to take the average? You just want to take the average? Okay. If we're taking the average, that is 2 times 10 is 27 and...
My role at the concierge for this hour is to be the first point of contact for our customers. I direct them towards what is going on behind me, which is our crafternoon. I also help with computers, finding different books and connecting them with staff members who can help them roam the library if there's something specific they're looking for. So right now I am catching up on some of my computer work in my free moments. There aren't a lot of them because, as you can see, we're very busy here in the library today. Things like catching up on emails. And I also write segments for KUNR, so sometimes I'm doing that, as well as reviewing the things that I need to prepare for the bookmobile Today is my bookmobile prep day, so usually I go through lists of very specifically put together things that we do for each stop. So I kind of review what kind of materials I want to bring for those patrons. Right now I am working on adding new books to one of my old KUNR segment lists on our catalog. So this is the list that I'm going through right now to update. This is my space operas is actually on the what to read tab on the catalog here. But as a staff member, I'm going to go through these books and see if there's anything that I missed. And then I go into my staff account and I can update it from there. And then I just try to do that quarterly for all of my different lists, just to make sure that there's always new things on there and I'm keeping up with what's coming out in the library.
All right, here you go. Here's your ID bag.
Thank you.
And your library card.
Thanks.
And you are all set. All right, we're just cleaning up the area where the public comes in so it stays safe for everybody. And that there's no messes around. Well, we clean every morning and every night for sure. And then as we have time during the day.
So just now I was working on a Spanish book a librarian, reserva un bibliotecario. So that means that the library reserves about 50 minutes to sit one-on-one with a patron and help them with any questions they may have to the best of our ability. So the question I helped with was where I can learn additional things, so like Excel, learn about nutrition for free. So the library offers a service called LinkedIn Learning that's free with a library card. So I demonstrated to the patron where to find that resource on the library website, how to sign in with their library card.
We are doing Crafternoon today, and I'm doing what's called no-sew stuffed animal socks. Yeah, this is every Friday we do a Crafternoon. Every Friday we do something. Kind of making a dog, and then it kind of turned into a rabbit. And then you can stuff it, and we're going to be using rubber bands instead of sewing. We have some glue, we have some googly eyes, we have some...
So what do you think you're going to make?
I don't
know
really
yet?
know right now.
Yeah.
To stuff this.
Just going to stuff it to make a seal. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so it could be this like
So I'm working on an Explorer page for our magazine. Basically, I'm pulling graphics in, and then I double check all the information to make sure that the dates and times are accurate, the locations are accurate, color code each branch to the color that it belongs with, and then try and make it look as pretty as possible.
I'm the lead cataloger, so I make the decisions on the cataloging that hasn't been done already. Right now I am working on changing in the MARC record and the bibliography part, X subfields to V subfields, because over the years they've changed from X to V. Yeah, why? Who knows? And I also make sure that I try to get subject headings that are match from the Library of Congress and see what they're using.
I have the good fortune of being the liaison between Washoe County Library System and the Friends of Washoe County Library nonprofit. They are a local nonprofit. They've been around since the early 80s. They hold quarterly book sales, and the funds they generate at those book sales, they donate that back to the library system. They actually have a meeting once a month. Today we're meeting at the downtown Reno Library, so I am setting up the room for them. They'll be here around 4:30ish, and we'll kick off the meeting and they'll go over their agenda for the day.
This was a Halloween event.
And then can you wiggle it low?
We've been putting up like kind of passive activities in the kids section that kids can do when they come in. So I've been changing out the scavenger hunts seasonally. We had a fall one that was really popular, and we just hide some pictures around the kids section, and then they can find them and come get a prize at the desk. It's usually like stickers or pencils, or there's some like fun erasers in there. And it's just so kids have something else to do when they come in that keeps them occupied while they grab their books.
And French fries? Okay.
I don't think I don't think the books in that stuff. Thank you very much for the video, Mr. Solero. I think it was a full day in the life of the library, Washoe County Library System. So thank you. And thank you for the people who played, who were part of the video. Item 6B, we will move on to that. It is a discussion between the Library Board of Trustees and the Office of the County Manager outlining the budget needed for staff to operate the locations, times, and days of the library system for the fiscal year 2027, which is July 1, 2026 through June 30th, 2027, as identified by the board at the meeting held October 1st, 2025, and possible direction to the Office of the County Manager related to budget needs for the Washoe County Library System. This is for possible action by the board. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair, members of the board. For the record, Dave Solero, Assistant County Manager. We've been at this for a little bit of time, so I appreciate you providing input to me, and I really appreciate the input from the citizens as well with the public comment. And Trustee Jacks had mentioned public comment being sent in, so I read through all of that as well as I'm going through this. So we'll go on to the next slide. Again, I really wanted to hit for you all the mission and the vision. This is your current mission and vision in this current strategic plan. You'll have an opportunity coming up in January, February, whenever a new library director is on board to update the strategic plan for the library system. But currently, we're really here to connect people with information, ideas, and experiences to support and engage community one person at a time. So next, please. Just to remind the citizens that are here in attendance at the last board meeting, the special board meeting on October 1st, the library board provided direction to proceed with providing actual budget numbers for the staffing models proposed as staff option A and the hybrid model. This is for the library system and to bring the entire budget forward for you all. At this meeting, I also mentioned at that meeting that I would make a recommendation, and I have done so in the packet, and we'll get to that here in a little bit. From some of the past meetings, we've had quite a few discussing budget, staffing, policy direction by the board. Just wanted to make sure that the community understands that through this process, we've determined that the current operation of the library system is pretty effective. All options reviewed currently to date actually increase operating times and days for full service branches include an increase in staff. That goes back to the system being effective currently with what we've got. Reducing or closing partnership libraries like Verdi, Senior Center, or Duncan Trainer actually does not have a translate to a 1-to-1 ratio for hours. So we can't close an hour in Verdi and gain an hour somewhere else. Many of the librarians that work at these partnership libraries actually work at full service branch libraries anyway. And so it doesn't translate to extra hours at those libraries. And really, at the end of the day, it's really unlikely that large changes in the hours of operation can be done within our system without increasing funding for the library system. That's really kind of what the synopsis of what the information I've provided to you all, and as I went back through looking at all of those things and the direction that you've been provided, the data, that's really what's come out of this little review. Next, please. So as we discussed last meeting, had a couple of options that you provided to me to say, let's go price these out and really understand what they are. So I wanted to do it a couple of different ways. This that you have here shows the current cost. Now I've got to make a caveat. These are staff costs. I was trying to do apples to apples comparisons. We are talking about future fiscal year 27. I'm starting with staff costs that are current in fiscal year 26.
Can I interrupt
Yes,
you just
absolutely.
a minute? Mr. Solero, is there any reason that Verdi isn't on this list?
Because those librarians are also part of Northwest Library. So this is the current staffing. So I went ahead and projected forward. So when you look at this, the current cost is utilizing the current staff at the libraries they're at with the programming that is currently there, whether it's Verdi, Duncan Trainer, or the Senior Center. So those come from our librarian staff
Okay,
there. They're not separate staff per the library.
So I think it's important that we understand and the public understands, we're not talking about a closure at Verdi or any of the others, just simply they are incorporated into the budgets for the library.
Correct. They are incorporated in the staffing. This is this is where the home staff library we'll call it. And so the current cost of the libraries as shown here, that is the staff that is currently allocated to those libraries, including those partnership libraries. I've escalated those costs with what we know today would be costs that are going to occur in fiscal year 27 based on labor agreements, those types of things. So I tried to make it apples to apples. And this is important because in the staff report, you'll see that the current fiscal year budget is going to be different than what I show on the slides because I've escalated those staff costs forward already. So if we look at the current costs, let's just take downtown Reno Library as the example. $1.26 million worth of staffing escalated to option A. So that was longer hours at this library, included more staff. That more staff equated to $2.28 million. Hybrid option 1, a little bit less staff to run those hours in that outlook as well for $1.6 million. So on the right-hand side, the staff option versus current shows that staff option A has $1 million more in staff, just staff, to run this library based on that schedule that we came up with for October 1st. And again, hybrid versus current, that's over and above what is for the hybrid. So that's a little bit additional staff. So as you go down this chart, you will notice that Sierra View Library, as you recall, that in both options included a 5-day-a-week operation. And so this shows actually a reduction in a library and a part-time staff member to make that operation there. Now, other libraries could utilize that librarian and the part-time staff. So that all works out at the bottom when you go down to the total and you look at the difference between staff option A versus the current and hybrid option versus the current. So that includes that negative number for Sierra View Library based on the schedule. So are there any questions on this chart?
So just to make sure I'm reading this correctly, Ann Silver for the record, the staff option A is the difference of basically $2 million?
Across the
board.
the entire system. Yeah.
Okay. Including Verdi, Senior Center, Duncan Training. Okay.
Yep. And that's all equated directly to staff. This is just staff cost in this chart. Because as we've gone through, staff is probably the largest cost that we've got to provide a service to our community.
In your contemplation of what I imagine are contractual increases in the collective bargaining agreement, have you also contemplated filling open positions in this staff count?
So this includes all positions being full. All positions currently allocated being full.
Okay.
So I allocated them the same. So if they're vacant today, I allocated them at the same cost in the current as I did in the future options as well, because it's this. A new employee would start at the same level, whether it's today or not. Apples to apples across the board.
So
Correct.
if I'm looking at the and just indulge me because I'm seeing it for the first time.
Yep.
Under the current cost includes any collective bargaining adjustment and filling all open positions.
Correct.
And if I contrast that with staff option A, I'm seeing the difference between the projected costs for the next fiscal year and current as being over 2 million.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
And that piece, actually, sorry, I take that back. Current to staff option A is $1 million sorry.
2.
Yes, 2 million overall in the system. Sorry.
Okay, got it.
Excuse me. Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
And that is due to the increase in staff necessary to expand the hours per the staffing models that we all developed and discussed.
So the current cost does not include filling the positions or increasing hours. It's just current.
It is the current operation as budgeted. With the escalation to 2027. Yes. If we can go to the next slide, These are the other costs associated with running a 12-branch library system. So we have the administrative costs on top of the branch costs, and I kept those static across the board for current staff option A and the hybrid option. So that would, the administrative costs would be the administrative staff that are across, so internet librarian, collections management, those types of things, rent for our buildings, any facility costs of building or of vehicles, those types of things. Services supplies are just those things, the copying machines, the services associated with operating the 12 branches. And then I've got the current titles, so that's our collection budget, right? And so the current costs, again, are for personnel escalated to the known costs, but the current titles is this year's cost. So it's the only one, and services supplies are not escalated across. There will be some escalation in these moving forward. I just wanted to make sure they were captured apples to apples because I don't know what the rent increase is going to be, those types of things. So I've just kind of left that static for you all. But
Mr. Blair, can you explain what current titles mean?
So current titles is your collection budget.
So
if you're gonna, so when we go to buy books and ebooks, that's the piece. So as you'll recall, at the October 1st meeting, I believe, we talked about a 10%.
Right, that's what I'm looking for.
And so when you look at staff option A and the hybrid option, that number, the 1.6 and the 1.8 and the 1.7 million respectively, that is 10% of the operating costs.
All right.
Currently, the 1.36 is not 10%, although the hope was to get to 10%, but it does not work out that way.
Okay.
With our current budget. So if we can go to the next slide. The fiscal year 26 base budget is approximately 17.6 million. And this is the difference that I was talking about. There's about a $300,000 difference, and that's the staff escalators due to collective bargaining and some of those other things, insurance rates, those types of things that are provided. So that includes the personnel, the overhead, service supplies, and the current budget titles. As the majority of the costs associated with the library budget are personnel related for the services that are provided across the 12 branches, the Library Board of Trustees we all initially focused on kind of the policy direction related to the hours of operation, the branches to be operated, and then, for how long. And so many iterations of the library locations, days, and hours were created, generally following the direction of you all, the Library Board of Trustees, that you provided to me, which is providing programs that are most impactful in the correct locations for the community, offering more hours after traditional hours, being an 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, to ensure that those working traditional hours have access to our library systems. And then that not every branch needs to offer the same level of services. So that was all kind of the direction that we put together. I think it's really important to understand that you also provided direction to the library system about providing a full service library system. Remember, we had that discussion as well on October 1st, books only versus programming. And so, it was determined that I think I heard from almost every single one of you, although you didn't make a motion, that programming was important to the library system. And so as you look at the numbers of what we're doing, I had this conversation, I believe, with Trustee Moser. We spoke on the phone related to programming for the things that occur within our library system. And really through this exercise, we've determined that if you're going to do programming in the building, doesn't really matter what the programming is, it requires the staffing level that we've got today to be able to do that. And so I just wanted to bring that to your attention because I know Chair Silver, you would ask about, let's dig into understanding which programs those are and really what that means. So I have not gone into detail on what programs this budget would provide, because that's really up to the process that you all are going to go through with a new director, as well as a strategic planning initiative. Many of the programs that are currently operating and being provided in the library system are a direct result of the current master plan, strategic plan of the library system. So the staff created the programs to meet the requirements of the Library Board of Trustees that were defined in the strategic plan. So you all will have that opportunity to create the new strategic plan, since our existing one really runs out at the end of this calendar year. And so that's why there's not a discussion in this related specifically to programming, because I heard from you all that we want to have programming in our libraries. And to do that, we need to have the staff that are outlined in the current, either in the hybrid options, the option A, or the current staffing that we've got. It encompasses programming to occur within our library system. Does not dictate what that programming is. That's really, the policy of the board through the strategic planning process. So I want to make sure that I was able to cover that. So I really wanted to end this little presentation with the discussion that the recommendation to you all is that we request a budget from the Washoe County Board of County Commissioners for the fiscal year 27, that the budget equal the approved fiscal year adjusted budget for current fiscal year 26. And then separately through the budget process, we create an above base request for the current titles to equal the 10% that you're requesting. That's really kind of two phases, right? The first one is to go to the Board of County Commissioners and say, we've done this work. We feel comfortable that the library system has reviewed what it is the board asked you all to do, which is making sure that we're providing services to our community that matter, making sure we've got the budget available to do that, and we've got the staff available to do that. So that would be the recommendation, is that we request from the Board of County Commissioners that fiscal year 27 start out with the same funding level as fiscal year 26, and then above base request for additional funding to meet that 10% operating expenditure for our books. So that is my recommendation to you, is that we have a discussion whether that's appropriate or not. I know we've got a board of 5 people with 5 different thoughts around what this really looks like. But going through this process with you over the last couple of months, I feel comfortable that we have done what the Board of County Commissioners has asked, which is a review of kind of our operations of the library system, how we're actually providing those things to our community, where we are providing them to the community, that we're providing the things that matter to our community, and that we are able to move forward with an above base request to get that book budget up to where the community really expects it. So that's information based on everything I've gleaned from you all, from staff as well. There is also a proposal in the staff report for hours of operation from the staff on how they would operate their library if they were given the constraint of just utilizing the current staff. And so, I mean, that's in there as well. But I think really at the end of the day, to get to the budget, we need to operate our library system. The base that we should move forward with to the Board of County Commissioners is the current fiscal year 26 base, escalated, of course, to fiscal year 27, just like all the rest of the departments at Washoe County, and then a request for additional funding for the books associated with that. So with that, I will turn it over to you and we can have a conversation.
Are there questions for Mr. Soler? Trustee Rodriguez?
Trustee Rodriguez, for the record. In looking at this, if we were to move forward with this recommendation, we would be able to fill the vacancies that have been on hold with this proposal, correct? We could move forward and get those vacancies filled, and we'd be able to stop the rotating close days?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, Trustee Ruff, for the record. First, I'd like to thank you, Dave and Abby, both of your collective teams, if they're in different branches of the county, for your work, helping us see clearly what the options are. And I just wanted to clarify then, the base would be the 17.9 million asking, if that's what we decide. Ish?
Yeah, it's hard. It's really 17.6. It's
Okay.
Yeah, I think really the number itself is going to be fluid, only because as we escalate forward, I was trying to do things in this, we're within the, area of,
sure,
$1,000,
Okay.
Like that magnitude. Let's keep it there. I think it's really closer to the 7.6 that's outlined in the staff report.
Okay, and then the additional 10% is about 505,000, something roughly like that?
Yeah, I think it would be a request of almost 300,000 additional on top of the 1.36.
Okay.
Yeah.
My question would be then, moving forward, if this is what the board approves going forward and the BCC approves it, then for the following fiscal year, that would automatically be our base.
That is correct.
And depending on the financial climate at that time, we could always, with our new director, ask for more.
Certainly through the standard budget process of Washoe County, the library system would be able to, create based on your strategic plan, we need X, Y, or Z and justify as an above base request to the Board of County Commissioners. That will be worked through the process that we have and aggregated against the priorities of Washoe County Commission for all the departments.
Understandable. Thank you. And then my last question, and I'm glad you addressed this because the assumption was if we took 3 hours at one place and could place those 3 hours at another, that it would work out fine. Is there the opportunity, though, given that, say, for instance, in Verdi, we have the 6 hours there now, if in Verdi they decide they would prefer it to be Tuesday, Wednesday because of the half day, an early release on Wednesdays, is that something that could be worked through the staff to make that happen?
Yes, in fact, when you look through the staff report, there is a staff recommended based on conversations they've had. I think it's Tuesday, Thursday, but certainly anything on the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for those partnership libraries seem to be the area where, adjusting the hours on those days, I think will work out all right. It's harder when you get near the ends because you're trying to cover weekends at the other branch. And so, yes, I would suggest that the staff is pretty darn creative and they could figure out how to get there.
Agreed. All right. Thank you.
Just to segue from Trustee Rupp's comments, Trustee Silver, for the record, I just want to go back again and indicate that, well, first of all, I want to ask you, Mr. Solero, you know the commissioners, you work with them, you report to them, you report to the acting county manager, and through the Washoe County Commissioners. I don't want to infer anything, but I'm inferring that you are suggesting that the 11,428, which includes Verdi Senior Center, Duncan Trainer, and days at Verdi, for sure, no closures at Verdi, reflect the anticipated increase through the collective bargaining agreement, and to Trustee Rodriguez's point, increase filling the open positions.
That is correct.
So if that's the standard, what has all this been about? And I don't mean that cynically. I'm lost in the translation of the failure of the WC1, and we're back with exactly where we started from. We can just fill the positions that are open, maintain services, not close any libraries, not lay off anybody. So I'm just trying to account for the last 6 months and arrive at a point that apparently you've arrived at, which is let's just keep everything the way it is.
Chair Silver, I appreciate the question, and I've asked myself that same thing over the last couple of weeks as I've been crunching the numbers. And I reflected back upon the current fiscal year 26 discussions with the Board of County Commissioners as we've gone through the budgeting process to get to where we are today. The Board of County Commissioners heard lots of public comment related to, the operation of the libraries. Certainly, you all have heard that same public comment here. We are in the children's section of the library, and are we all acting like adults? I'm not so sure these days. But certainly, we have been requested by the Board of County Commissioners to look inside our house here at the Washoe County Library System to be able to make sure that you are confident that the services we're providing, the hours of operation, the number of staff are appropriate for the budget that has been asked for the Washoe County Library System. The Board of County Commissioners heard all of that same comment, and they were, that's not really our job. Our job is to appoint 5 members of our community that want to serve as members of the Library Board of Trustees to assist us in understanding the needs of our community and take your opinion on really what that looks at. And so through that budget process, the Board of County Commissioners gave Washoe County direction, go work with the Library Board of Trustees to verify that what we're hearing from the community is either appropriate or not. And we don't know which community members because, we can't agree on anything these days, right? And I'm putting those terms into my own opinion as I've gone through this process. And so, I took it upon myself to try to work with the information we had to try to help us all go down a path of, are we really providing the the needs as you see them for our community. And that's why we started with the policy discussion around days of operation, locations of operation, and hours at those locations. So, as we went through those iterations, you heard from other parts of the community. It's like, oh my gosh, we can't close these libraries. So obviously that meant something to our community. And we heard, there's, I don't know how many pages of public comment in the October, minutes that you just approved. A lot of information from the community essentially saying, we appreciate what the library systems do. You hear that in the public comment, even this evening. Doesn't matter which side you're on, we're appreciative of what the libraries do. We wish you would do it differently in some instances, but you have policies and all of those other sorts of things that we're simply just following. So to get to your point, or your question, sorry, my point, I suppose, is we've done what the Board of County Commissioners ask you to do, which is really review our library system and our community and make a recommendation to them then related to the fiscal year 27 budget. Now, I can't guarantee that we walk in there and we present all of the information and the work that we've done and they say, yes, let's go forward. They have a lot of things they've got to, on their mind, but what they requested was a recommendation from you all on next year's budget based on an exercise to go through. And we've done that. We've gone kind of full circle to your point, and we're back to the services we're providing to our community seem to be the right services at this time. You're going to go through a process through strategic planning with a new director. That may change. I know that there are a lot of, thoughts from this board on what services, who should we really be helping? What does that look like? And I think this actual recommendation gives you the tools to walk down that path with a new director. If it's wholeheartedly changing, the programming that we do, that's fine. I think you go through a process to do that. So I think what we've landed on is that we've gone through the process as requested by the Board of County Commissioners. We've determined that the staff is doing what the staff is supposed to be doing. And my recommendation to you is we bring that to the Board of County Commissioners as the request.
Madam Chair.
I hope that answered your question.
Go ahead, Marie.
Yes, Trustee Jacks.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. Trustee Jacks, for the record. Mr. Solaro, thank you so much for this information. I feel like, like you said, we've really done what we were supposed to do. And without hearing more comment from my fellow board members, I'm not sure that this information is, I feel like this is just one piece of the puzzle for the board to look at everything. While we've got these puzzle pieces are the staff, et cetera, costs. I love the graphs. I love the charts. I do have a couple questions specifically before we would approve such a budget. Madam Chair, I did have these documents here that talk about actually possibly looking at user count and establishing another piece to the puzzle. We received an email from the collections development manager based on a question that I had asked Mr. Solaro. We got an email back as the board. This is the pie chart email we got from the collection development manager, and it really outlines the numbers. It outlines the unique users versus physical users in our county libraries. So I'm looking to my fellow board members to say, I'm not sure I'm prepared to make that motion on this agenda item tonight. I would hope that maybe we could take another meeting, because I feel like there's some agenda items we didn't have on here to discuss would be user count. Basically, Washoe County, online only is 41%. It's about the same as people that check out physical items, 41%, and 17.5% are actually doing both. So what's really driving the staffing needs are the hours in the branches that are open and the kinds of services that are offered. The fiscal year 27 report shows the biggest changes in staff requirements come when hours are extended or when full service programming's in addition to top of basic circulation. That's why looking at service hours per staff member or the number of physical checkouts and digital transactions compared to the staff who support them is more accurate way to understand how much work librarians are actually handling. Population growth versus librarian count oversimplifies what's really happening in Washoe County. So what I'm saying here is if we could look at how many patrons are using the library versus online and what programs are being offered, a lot of the programs through the Explorer I know that if you go through and circle, a lot of events are happening in our libraries. They really are community centers driven for public engagement. And I think we've heard that time and time again. I do know that the Verdi question on the Verdi library and staffing hours is the same problem. And I think you might have heard that, Mr. Solaro, from the staff. It's commuting to these partnership libraries for staff. That's where it's coming from. That's where we're getting the information that the commute to Verdi is coming from the staff. So we've got extra partnerships, we have overspent, we've overstaffed, and I thought we heard we were in a budget crisis. When I hear that in my household, I know it means it's time to cut slashing. We're not slashing anywhere. I'm not sure that we're prepared as a board who now is a beautifully functioning board with great leadership is taking us down a road where we have to, I think, have some extra meetings to really crunch this, Madam Chair. I did want to explore the option with my fellow board members to discuss the amount of volunteers that are on site at each library. I really think the usage versus the demand, and to assume that just because population growth, for instance, if every new family moves into the county, they're probably only digital users. That doesn't automatically add to the workload at a physical branch the way an in-person checkout does, as we saw in the video. So every new resident does not mean that the library needs more staff. So, Madam Chair, I took that from the information we got from the collection development manager. The awesome information was emailed to us as a board, and I think we need more time to review that. So I do have this information to present to you tonight. And then that was all I had, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there other comments?
Yeah,
Yes, let me
I
take
do.
Trustee Rodriguez. She had her hand up.
Like the others, I would like to thank you guys for the work that you put into it. I know it was a lot of number crunching, a lot of time that we spent on this. And thank you also very much for putting together that video of a day in the life of a librarian. As someone who has visited all the branches, except for the partnership branches, but I've visited them multiple times, I know for a fact that that's exactly how our libraries operate, and that's how busy they are, and that's the kind of work they do. I was invited to, well, we all were invited to the Spanish Springs birthday celebration earlier this year, which was a wonderful turnout from the community. It was standing room only. So I know the value for the community that our libraries have, the value that they have for those who can't afford to buy books, who use it for resources, for job applications, for translation. They're busy places and we need them. So I don't have any doubt whatsoever that the books are being read, both the books from the shelf, the digital ones. I know for a fact that my family uses both. My grandchildren check out books. My husband reads a lot of the digital books, uses it also for a lot of digital periodicals. And we go to these different events. So I think we've spent more than enough time looking at the budget. And I don't see any reason why our Board of County Commissioners wouldn't consider this a reasonable request. I like the fact that it's going to get our libraries the staffing that they've been waiting on for a long time now, that's long overdue. I like the fact that it's going to allow them to go back to opening their doors on a regular basis and not have these interim closures. And I would wholeheartedly, since this is an action item, like to go forward with the staff recommendation that we present this to our county commissioners.
Trustee Rodriguez, are you doing that as a motion?
If I will do it as a motion when everybody else has finished making their comment. That's just my thoughts.
I have a couple of questions. Is there anyone else? Please go ahead, Trustee Ruff.
Trustee Ruff, for the record, a couple of things. So I just wanted to maybe address a little bit of what you mentioned about the book budget, and it doesn't really, the amount of money that goes out to the books, whether they're a hardback book, a paperback book, or an electronic copy. Those are all needs, and they're met by, we need to have the amount of books out there. It possibly will increase the number of people using the books. So it felt like you wanted to cut the budget on that, which I would be absolutely against. And remember, that's something that we were asking for, is to make sure we had the 10%.
To cut book budget.
Okay, that's what
gotta
it felt
cut-
like. We're
Oh.
cutting, or maybe you wanted to cut staffing.
Yeah, anywhere
You
but
do
the
want to
book
cut
budget.
staffing.
Right.
Yeah, no, I would be totally against that. And
Slash, we're supposed to, we're
no,
supposed to slash.
we
the
don't have
budget?
to.
We don't?
We don't. That's what he's saying. This was a confidence activity from the Board of County Commissioners, in my opinion. And what we've gone through is look through, and we have discovered that the staffing that we have, including the staff that we need to hire to fill the positions that we've been holding, yes, more staff, because we've had to have rolling closures because we didn't have enough staff to hold all of the branches open at the hours that we have set as a board. So going with this 17 million plus the additional ask above that baseline to bring us to 10% is, I'm completely ready to make that motion and vote for that as well.
Shows that we're completely not ready. We got budget numbers being thrown all around. You cannot approve a budget. This board needs make a confident decision based on the numbers. So that's where I was saying.
I have a comment, a question, actually. I'm not calling for anything until we've all commented. Do you have any comments at this time? Please, go ahead.
Vice Chair Bozer, for the record, I just wanted to say thank you very much for all the work you've been doing. It's been an astounding turnaround in terms of the thoroughness that we've received. I really appreciate you giving us the full options to evaluate. I think your plan is excellent. I think it gives us enough room to ask the Washoe County Commission to back up their claims to support our library system, as well as enough money to continue as we are right now. And so I really, really value your work the last few months. And I know it hasn't been easy. So thank you, and to the staff that has helped support that. So I will be supporting the option that you provided to Dave to the board. And I do think as we grow as a board, we should really be giving, as we delegate, more high level information as opposed to getting into the weeds. I think Dave is doing a good job. And if we can just give the sentiment and a general direction to go, I think we have trust now in our staff. And so I would just like to say, if we can get out of the weeds in the next few meetings and grow on this board together, I think it'll be a better alignment as we find a new director.
Madam Chair, I have a brief question to follow up on Trustee
Please,
Ruff's question. If I'm sorry, Trustee Jacks, for the record, Mr. Solaro, you said that if the new director next year wants to make adjustments to the budget, they just could go to the county commission and say, I need more, I need less.
For the record, Dave Solero, through the chair, Trustee Jacks, what I said was, in the future budget process, right? We will set this essentially as the baseline budget for the Washoe County Library System. No different than we set the baseline budget for Community Services Department or the Human Services Agency. Every year, as things change and direction comes from the Board of County Commissioners based on their strategic plan, the department directors are encouraged to, request what they need to do the job that the board is asking them to do. And so I'm suggesting that in the future, we won't have to go through this exercise mid-year in the mid-budget, because we will provide what the Board of County Commissioners requested, which is a budget adequate for our current library system. Now, what I'd mentioned is you will be going through a process to update your strategic plan. I'm a big believer of tying your strategic plan to your budget. It's one of the things that I try to espouse at the Washoe County, so that we're not just spending money to spend money, right? We're spending money to accomplish those things that you are looking to accomplish. So when you hire a new director and you create your strategic plan, if there are costs associated with the wishes of you all for your strategic plan that is above what this base budget is, the new director will be able to go to the Board of County Commissioners, just like every other department director in Washoe County, and request additional funding. Or in other worlds, if there's something that you all decide you're going to stop doing, I would suggest that the director also come to the Board of County Commissioners and say, I don't need that much. That's a cultural shift, and I've been pushing for that. With other departments, just let's not continue to do things just because we're doing things. Let's really think: is this what our community needs? And that's part of the strategic planning process and all those other sorts of things. So yes, base budget will be set in the future, just like every other department. The library system will be able to request additional funds if they're justified. Hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
I have a comment and a question. First of all, I don't want to scoff at what Trustee Jack said, because I think she's looking at things. Let me back up. I think I made this comment a few meetings ago. I feel like this was a little backwards for us. And I totally appreciate the time you and Abby put into this and your teams in creating these numbers and giving us a profound, deep, and deliberate look at things we never understood or had in front of us. I understand what you are recommending. But let's start a few months ago. You asked us what our priorities were. Then we did the right thing by saying to the library managers, what do you think? Because you're the experts, you're boots on the ground, you're running the libraries. So that created what was the staff proposed option. Then came a hybrid option, and I'm kind of forgetting what that was. But if I look at the hours and then I look at the budget, the hybrid option is literally about $1,000 more. I might be looking at the wrong math, but if I subtract 11,428 from 12,489, I'm at about 11, almost 5. I mean, I'm at
1 million.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess, respecting what all of my colleagues have said, I go back to wondering, it's not only what the community wants from the library system, it's not only us seeing a day in the life and understanding that everybody who works for the library has a task and gets it done and serves the public and even more, and everything that's included in here. But where are we on the staff proposed option that took a look at what would be most advantageous knowing their particular libraries? Now, for instance, on that staff proposed option sheet, it showed Verdi open 3 to 6 on Tuesday and Thursday. The last meeting, we heard significant testimony about not closing the Verdi Library. I've never thought of closing the Verdi Library, but I see that proposal for Verdi on your proposal included, you've said it's included in the Northwest budget, but does that reflect back the hours that the staff had proposed? I mean, I guess we don't want to get in the weeds. It's not up to us to determine the hours per se. We're looking at a total budget, but we have a lot of data that you've developed for us, more than we ever have had, probably more than any board has ever had, quite frankly. So I'm trying to square the staff proposed option with the hybrid option and your recommendation, which looks like a little over $1,000 difference between the current and the hybrid. And I will state just for the record that I don't think any of us want anything less than the 10% on the book collection budget. But I'm looking at what you've presented as branch costs and trying to figure out, if I look at the last meeting's minutes on the staff proposed option and the hybrid option, which by the way was a difference of what, 14 hours, I think? I don't know if that was positions or hours. Hours. So what stops us from saying, let's take the hybrid? And I'm just hypothetically saying, what's wrong with the hybrid, which is $1,000 more? I doubt the commissioners are going to fall off their chairs at that.
So Chair Silver, the difference between the hybrid and the current is $1 million more. So when you look at that, the staff option A is about $2 million more than current.
Okay.
And the hybrid is about $1 million more than current.
All right.
And so when I mean, you're feeling my pain right now, and I'm sure you're feeling the pain of the staff as well, and looking at all the different staffing models and everything else. I specifically did not provide those staffing models with that we went over and
Yeah, I'm
on the
trying to
first.
compare them.
Yeah, it's based on those staffing models that were presented, the number of staff associated with the staff option A and the hybrid model that were presented to you last 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And I simply took the current staffing contingent and then I added where we needed to add, and that's how we came up with those. But the hybrid option is $1 million more than the current status quo budget.
And is the hybrid more a reflection of what the staff indicated they wanted? I mean, off the cuff, can you indicate whether you think that's,
Yeah, yes. So the staff proposed option, and this gets confusing because I've got a new staff report that actually has 3 different hours in it as well.
okay,
So you got to remember the staff option was based on your initial option A,
Right.
which included many more hours
Right.
and times open.
Right.
So the staff said, hey, if we're going to do it this way, let's suggest this set of operating hours, which we called staff option A. And that was priced out. Then I looked at staff option A and I looked at the current and I, did some magic, on my spreadsheet, looking at the public comment, taking your input and came up with that hybrid option, which was another option to look at. Quite frankly, when you look at the staff report, there is an option called ideal schedule with current allocations. That is what the staff actually came back to me after October 1st and said, because I asked them, if you couldn't get any more staff, if we filled all the staff you're allocated now, what would your ideal schedule look like for your community? And that's what shows up in this instance. I didn't price it out because it would be the same as the current. And so I think the discussion really becomes, are we comfortable moving forward with the budget as allocated? You've already determined the hours of operation for this fiscal year. So I'm not trying to kick the can, but I also suggested you're going to have a new library director and a discussion around a strategic plan and moving into a fiscal year 27, where that library director will not only be able to ask for an above base for books, but if you come up with something necessary in your strategic planning, the library director will have ability to massage the operations of the library system. I'm simply trying to get to the point that we've come to the arrangement or the understanding that we want to get the library in fiscal year 27 started out from a footing of what makes most sense through this exercise we've gone through. I hope that answers your question.
so this total exercise has resulted in you saying that we could fill the positions that have not been filled. I'm not trying to narrow it down to just one conclusion, but the difference is you're saying the positions that have been vacant, that have been causing stress for the librarians and issues about working hours and such, if those are filled, we can safely go to the commissioners, assuming they might approve the $11,428 budget. Because we have several constituents we're answering to.
Yes.
We have to go to the commissioners who appointed us. We have the library team. Many of us have talked to many of them, and we want to do right by them. They are the boots on the ground. They are the experts. They know the demographics of their particular library location, et cetera. Trustee Jacks is saying, maybe there are things in here that shouldn't be in here, and you're saying wait for a new library director to look at all that. But you're asking us tonight to accept the budget that I am assuming is the best we can do, having taken a look at our priorities, the staff ideal operating hours, what the public says they want in our library system. Is that a fair assessment that all those are reflected in that 11.4 budget?
I think I'm trying to make sure I fully understand the question.
Well, I have so much information, and I want to thank you for that, because we've never had this kind of information, despite the fact we asked for it many, many times. This is extraordinarily helpful, and I thank you and Abby for both your teams' work on this. I'm trying to look at, you are asking us to perhaps vote tonight on what you're calling the current cost budget of 11,428. and 984. I mean, to be very specific. And I'm saying, based on the staff proposed option, the hybrid option, and the demand and the points and counterpoints we've heard from the public, do you feel that the 11,428,000 basically represents the best we can do at this point in time in terms of going to the commissioners and saying, this is the budget we need, advancing a 10% increase in the book collection budget, and then relying on a new strategic plan and a new director to massage, I think was your word, to take a look at what programs should we have or should we not, or that's that person's job. And we've been without a director and an assistant director. So in a sense, I feel we're playing a role we didn't anticipate playing and probably shouldn't be playing. But I'm just trying to take everything we've now heard, all the public comment, and I'm only going back a few months now. But I'm trying to use, and not everybody has everything in front of them, but I'm using what we got as the hybrid, the staff proposed option, and your recommendation tonight, and trying to understand if that's where you think is our best shot, with the opportunity to then massage things through a new director and get the positions filled that have remained unfilled. No layoffs, no closures.
Yes, I think this is the,
Let him answer,
I
please.
think this is the most realistic budget to present to the Board of County Commissioners. Now, I want to address the vacancies that are out there and the reasoning behind my, discussion with you all about keeping those vacancies open until we've gone through this exercise. And I think, we've even heard it at this board this evening where many of you, just based on the notes I've taken, are comfortable with the staffing that we've got, but some of you are not. And so when we started this whole process, we were unsure, actually, does this library board want to provide full service libraries to our community? Or does this library board want to revert back to just books and a building to have them in? We did not know that answer when we started this journey in September. I would say we know that answer now, based on the conversations we've had with you all. That gives me the more confidence that the current staffing we've got is a realistic shot of providing a budget to the Board of County Commissioners that they would rely on from you all. With all of the vacancies filled, to get to a level, yes, certainly hours of operation at certain libraries that can all be worked through with the staff. The staff is, they are intimately aware of what the community is looking for from their branches and when, and they've got suggestions on other ways to do business.
Well, if it went with the current library, if we adopted this budget, knowing that Verdi might want Wednesdays instead of Thursdays, they would still have the latitude to do that. There would be no layoffs, no closures, and the positions that have been vacant would be filled.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. I feel like I've gone full circle, but in my head, not yours. I appreciate all the work you've done. Please, another comment, Trustee Rodriguez.
Well, I was just going to say, if everybody's had their questions answered and made their comments, one of the first line of this recommendation is based on the work reviewed and discussed with the library board of trustees, library staff, and comment provided by the community. That's what we are basing this recommendation on, which is pretty much everything that we've been doing for the last couple of months. And if there are no other comments, I would like to make a motion that we adopt
I
this.
do have another comment.
Please, another comment. Thank you, Trustee Rodriguez.
Okay,
Trustee Jackson.
Can we make the motion and then add comment to it?
You've made the motion.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Okay, the motion.
Please, comments. I do have a comment. I want to be respectful of my colleague, Trustee Jacks, who is concerned about variations to the budget that may at some point need to occur. And whether I agree with you or not, the point is, I hear you saying, Mr. Solero, that those might and could occur in the next fiscal year under the leadership of a new director before the county commission.
Correct. I believe this board needs a new director and a new strategic plan to be able to make some of those decisions and discussions for future budgets.
Okay, so I think that should quell any concerns that Trustee Jacks has, because she's she's definitely done her homework, and I think I want to honor that fact and honor the fact that we don't want closures, we don't want layoffs, we want positions filled, we want all the rumors to stop about closing libraries and laying off staff and the disaster that would occur with the initiative not passing, and at least get the commissioners to approve a point-in-time budget, which I'm calling it, that includes a 10% increase to the book budget, knowing that once we have a new director, it would be their prerogative, understanding we're operating without a director input or without assistant director input, it would be their task to look at the pros and cons of whatever we've adopted. And be it more that they need or less, more people, less people, different hours, that would still be the prerogative of a director. Am I understanding that correctly?
You are. I do want to make one clarification. So the recommendation that I've provided you today is to recommend to the Board of County Commissioners that the fiscal year 27 budget is based on the base budget of fiscal year 26. And then separately, there will be a separate ask of the Board of County Commissioners through the regular budgeting process to increase the book budget to that 10%. It won't be all in the same ask of the Board of County Commissioners at their meeting, because that's going to be unfair, I would say, to all of the rest of the departments that have not even started this budget discussion.
I understand.
Yes.
I think, Madam Chair, Trustee Jacks, for the record, I think my concern was I don't think we spent enough time researching and getting public comment. And I was under the impression that Washoe County was in a budget deficit. We were looking to cut the budget in all departments. So I thought that looking at the use data and discussing it with the board here would allow us some more discussion on different topics. Thank you. That's all.
Trustee Jacks, I understand, because I have in front of me so much data and a feeling that we've either dug too deep or we should have not dug into the weeds as much. But I keep repeating that in the absence of a director and assistant director, we have gotten in the weeds. We've had to, and we've had many, I don't want to say misunderstandings, but the media hasn't helped. Former director had signs saying layoffs and closures. I'm trying to recapture everything into a simple understanding of where we are and what this budget will permit and what this budget will forestall, which was some public notion that libraries were closing or people would be laid off. I'm just trying to understand the implications of our approval of this tonight, with the understanding that a strategic plan, which we are woefully without, and without the input of a director and assistant director, so there's much work to be done, gives us just a base. It doesn't mean in any case that we have gone through this and said, do we need pumpkin carving or whatever program it is, or who's going to do that or not? I feel we normally would not have been in the position of looking that deeply. That's just my sense as a trustee. It never occurred to me that I'd be looking at pumpkin carving versus tent building or, Play-Doh or whatever. I'm interested in literacy, book readings, and babies and toddlers and kids and teens and making sure we have computers and making sure we are the most literate community we can be and making sure we have accessible books and diverse books. And so I'm feeling like we've gone all this while to get to this number. And my only last question to you is, had the initiative passed, we would be looking at millions of dollars that we could go to the commission to improve what? More staff? More? What would that have, where would we be had that passed?
Had the initiative passed, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. You would,
But it turns out nothing was ever going to close and nothing was ever we weren't going to do layoffs, and we weren't, that's why I'm feeling like we're coming back to where we started.
But I think there was enough question in your minds, and there was enough question in the public's mind. There was enough question in the Board of County Commissioners' mind on, really what is the library providing to our community? And I think you've gone through a process to explain exactly what that is. Now, to your point, going through the Explorer book, and the only reason the things that are in that book are in that book is because the current strategic plan of this library system dictated that staff go do things like that.
Right, I understand.
And you have an opportunity now, because that strategic plan is ending, to put your own stamp on the strategic plan, the direction of the library system. I'm going to give you some guardrails because Board of County Commissioners has their own strategic plan, and they should kind of run lockstep.
Okay.
But certainly, that's the purview of this board. The policy of the board, past boards ended up in, the programs and the things that are there. And I think that's what you all are longing for. Like, no, we want to get in there and we want to stop this, or we want to do this, or that will occur through a strategic planning process. So.
Trustee Jacks, is that what you need to hear?
Madam Chair, for the
Yeah.
record, Trustee Jacks, I just wanted this board to be as fully educated as possible. And I understand the hours and the staffing hours of a budget, but I was under the impression we were supposed to be slashing the budget. And that we were, and if we could have just went and asked for the money, we would have just went and asked for the money before. But as we've been left here, this board has been left, like you said, Mr. Solaro, with what we have here. So
it's why
I still am not ready to approve. I won't approve the vote if it goes through.
Another comment.
Not that.
Vice Chair Moser, for the record, I think we did learn a lot through this experience as a board. I know we have all put in long hours of learning and conversing during these meetings and with staff. I think we cannot hope for a better past at this point, but we know where we want to be right now and where we're going. And so I think with that, I would like to motion that we approve this the budget as a base, with the knowing that eventually our new director will have the ability to ask for more money to fill the gap for the 10% collections budget.
No, that's part of, no, but if I can correct you, I think this is reflecting the 10% increase in the book budget.
So the recommendation to you all is to request from the Board of County Commissioners that the fiscal year 27 budget base be the same as the fiscal year 26 base, which does not include a 10%. I can't remember what the number is. I don't even want to take a
I'm
stab
sorry,
at the
'cause I think
percentage.
some of us are
But it
confused.
is,
I thought it.
but it is less than 10% currently. And then separately, through the regular budget process at Washoe County, as we go through the fiscal year 27 budget process, we put in an above base request to make up the difference between what is current base and what would be 10% of that approved budget to make it a 10% budget. Now, that request will be looked at by the Board of County Commissioners, along with any other requests that are out there for other departments. What I'm simply saying is I would like to keep them separate because I don't want to put the Board of County Commissioners into a position of having to choose that above base request, we'll call it, before any other department has been able to come forward to them and make their case on why the priority of the Board of County Commissioners should not be the 10%, but it should be something else. Because I'm, just looking in the hazy ball, I don't think there's going to be a bunch of money to be able to go expand services at Washoe County in this fiscal year, in this upcoming fiscal year.
So this budget at best reflects filling open positions.
It would essentially give you the same thing you've currently got today in the approved budget.
I think that's why I'm feeling I've come back to the
right.
beginning.
And I hear you. I fully hear you. That's kind of where I've gotten myself, thinking we can go down this path and do some things. But really, at the end of the day, if you want to open hours longer, we need more staff. And I'm suggesting to you all that my recommendation is that I don't think we're going to be able to get any more new staff. And so I would suggest that the recommendation is that we go to the county commission and say, we would like to at least have the base of what we've got now moving into the future.
But that means filling the open
And
position.
being able to, that would allow us to be able to fill the open positions so that the staffing at the libraries would be, we'll call it full staffing. We'll never get to full staffing with attrition and some of those other things when people retire and move on, promote within. But certainly it will give us the allocation to be able to do that.
Okay. Well, you made a motion and you made a motion. I think.
I can remove my motion for yours, Marie. Okay.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second? And to clarify, would you like to clarify your motion, Trustee Rodriguez?
Motion that based on the work reviewed and discussed with the Library Board of Trustees, library staff, and comment provided by the community, we are recommending that the Library Board of Trustees is recommending a request that a fiscal year 27, which will commence July 1st of next year, 26, through June 30th of 2027. A library budget equal to the approved fiscal year 26 adjusted budget from Washoe County Board of County Commissioners.
Thank you. Is there a second for that motion?
For the record, I second.
We're allowed to comment in between. Yes.
Sorry.
Please, go ahead. That's why we're trying to clarify that Mr. Solero said that would be a different process, so as not to put this board in a position of asking the commissioners for more than what other departments. To your point, Trustee Jacks, there is a budget deficit. And I think what we're trying to look at here is not falling prey to the commissioners cutting us or saying no, but having the ability to go back to them and say, we ask for a 10% increase in the book budget separate from approval of this budget.
If I may clarify, if it sounds like the way the motion would be, if you wanted to just say, make a motion per the staff report, that does a couple of things. It's separate in there. It gives us direction then at the right time to put that in. You don't have to worry about making a separate statement, sometime during the budget process. I know that was a discussion we had last year, was, what is the Board of Trustees above base ask of the Board of County Commissioners? And so we went through that whole process. So I'm just simply saying, if you accept the motion as written in the staff report, we can take it from there and capture both pieces of the recommendation.
Based on the staff. You're amending your motion? Okay. Can you restate it then for the record? Just read it.
I move to request a base budget for the library system for fiscal year 2027, which commences on July 1st, 26 through June 30th, 2027. From the board, well, that's the same thing that I just read for.
But you keep going, it doesn't have the.
Okay. Meeting based on current fiscal year 2026 budget adjusted as appropriate to account for contractual obligations and implementation of fiscal year 27. The ideal schedule with the current allocations. As the schedule for the library system and for the library system to submit an above request separate from the request for the base budget to account for 10% of the final expenditures to be used for the current titles because it's budget.
Trustee Roth, for the record, I second the amended motion.
Any comments or questions on the motion and the second? I do want to say one more time for my own edification. You are asking the motion to not include the separate above base request for current titles budget equal to 10%.
As read, we will take that separate 10% and that'll go through the regular budget process.
So then it is included in your motion.
It is included in the motion, yes.
Thank you.
So, yes.
So all those in favor of the proposal as read by Trustee Rodriguez and provided to us by the Assistant County Manager, and may I just read it again because I was not following it. Based on the work reviewed and discussed with the Library Board of Trustees, library staff, and comment provided by the community, staff is recommending that the Library Board of Trustees request an FY27 Okay, I'm reading yours. Okay, I'm sorry. The motion would be move to request a base budget for the library system for fiscal 2027 from the Board of County Commissioners that would be based on the current fiscal 2026 budget adjusted as appropriate to account for contractual obligations and implement in FY27 the ideal schedule with current allocations as the schedule for the library system, and for the library system to submit an above request separate from this request for the base budget to account for 10% of the final expenditures to be used for the current titles or collection budget. Can you just help me understand the timing of the second portion of the request?
I have not seen, for the record, Dave Solero, Assistant County Manager, I have not seen the budget schedule for Washoe County's budget process. But given what we've historically done, that request will go to the Board of County Commissioners through the budgeting process, probably in February or March of 2026, to be included into a process that we go through to adopt
All right.
fiscal year 27 budget.
So we have a motion and a second, and I apologize to our listeners for reading it yet again. I was reading what was in our packet, and this is the possible motion. So we have a second, and let me call for the vote. Those in favor of the motion as read aloud, understanding that the current titles budget equal to 10% of the total operating expenditure is requested during the county commissioner's budgeting process sometime in 2026. I would call for the vote on this approval of what we'll call the current, what you referred to as the current budget. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those not in favor?
Nay.
One nay. For approve, motion passes.
Thank you all.
And thank you so much for your work and Abby's work. I think we're drowning in numbers, but they are numbers that we needed to see and numbers we needed to get from our library team, and numbers that, while the public may not have time to digest, I think are very meaningful in our decision making, in as much as we did not want to go backwards and have closures or layoffs or lack of services. Or reduced services, and I would hope that that's reported accurately by the media.
And I want to echo your thanks. You all put a lot of time and effort into this. Really appreciate what you've gone through. I would be remiss if I did not also thank the librarian, the branch managers and the administrative staff and the line staff who have provided me with a great education, as well as, a lot of good insight that I could bring forward to you all as well. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, back to the agenda. We are on number 7, public comment with a 3-minute time limit per person. I'm not sure that I have a public comment list. One is coming. Thank you very much. Sherry Sanders.
My name is Sherry Sanders. I have a PhD and a JD, both looking at public interest, public good. Things are moving rapidly, which I appreciate, and so I'm still kind of digesting what I have heard this evening. And I want to start by saying thank you to all the advocates in this space, the board, Mr. Solero's office, the library staff, the community, and the people who come here all the time and maybe couldn't be here this evening or last meeting. And I just wanted to add one more framing for this project, through the budget, and maybe one more apple for the bowl, one more piece for the puzzle, which is in terms of efficiency. Many people in the public, including myself, rely heavily on services that are being presently defunded. And since we're looking at the 2027 picture going forward, I just wanted to contribute. When social services budgets are cut, when mental health services budgets are cut, when housing budgets are cut, when education budgets are cut, when music and arts budgets are cut, that money goes away. The library is becoming the catching place for so many people who have lost those very necessary lifelines. And those places that are their opportunities for forming themselves into publicly engaged, civically responsible human beings who are going to be our decision makers in all of the spaces outside the library. So I just wanted to contribute. The library is doing a lot of that work with no extra money, no extra staff, no extra resources. I just wanted to come and say thank you to all, and please keep in mind that as other things get cut, I don't see the library as providing services that are extraneous, or that the need is driving the budget is driving the need. The need is driving the need, and there's not enough money. This place is a lifeline. Thank you.
Thank you. Cliff Nellis.
footnote for the record. Basically, the people voted no. No more money. Any business when it faces problems, first thing they do is they cut middlemen. You know, Salesforce, that's a company that provides software companies. Cutting with like 230,000 people. They have to balance the budget. In a private sector business, that's what you do. You do what it takes to balance the budget. One of the problems with, government-run organizations like this library is that you have public employees unions, and you can't fire them. Can't let people off. And can't make them work either. They work probably at 25% of the level. And privatizing the library would solve the problem with budget. You probably get the same service or better for less money. But you're not going to look at that. I want to point out to you a couple very interesting things in the video. One man had a t-shirt on it that said "Death Saves." Interesting. I wonder what cult he belongs to. Yeah. Is that a mockery of what Christians say Jesus saves? Or does he really believe in death save? Like, does he believe in abortion and euthanasia like one political party believes in? Yeah, the death cult. Another woman, she had on a rainbow shirt. What's that promoting? It is a marketing thing for the LGBT or the homosexual sodomites. The Bible calls it sodomites. Sodomy is a grave sin. And they're using a rainbow. The Apostle John, who wrote the book of Revelation, spoke of the throne of God with a rainbow behind it. Does that mean God approves of homosexuality? Absolutely not. He proved that at Sodom and Gomorrah, which were real cities that really got fire rained down from heaven. And then we have 4 people with masks on. What intelligence level do these people have? We have a whole generation of young people that were traumatized by masks. They couldn't see a person's face because they couldn't see them speaking. Everyone had masks on. And they didn't tell us that a virus is like 1,000 times smaller than the holes in that mask and just pass right through it. There's no science behind it. And they said, believe the science. There's no science. It was all a lie.
Thank you, Mr. Nels. Kate Celine?
Kate Salim for the record. Something I wanted to call the board's attention to are the library board of trustee bylaws that are currently on the website are for fiscal year 2023 to 2024. And I believe there was a vote and a rewriting of those bylaws several months ago. And so I'm hoping that those can get updated. One thing I was searching through was for Robert's Rules of Order. And I couldn't find anything immediately, but since we will not be having a special meeting to keep talking about this budget, I hope the board, all members, will take time to review Robert's Rules of Order, talks about how to hold a meeting, how to make motions, and also not to interrupt one another. There are very specific rules about how to be and behave in a meeting, and I think the board would benefit and the conversation would be better without interruptions and with actually following Robert's Rules of Order, and maybe somebody can get him a cup of water. Thank you.
Sorry, I had to cough.
Drew Rebar?
Y'all need to cough, it's good. We're allowed to do that. Well, the board voted 4-1, 4 communists to 1 American. We kind of know where we stand. Since the board and the library supports, the Our Center thing, I just thought I'd read a little bit of stuff that I found out about Our Center tonight. and apparently what this library supports. So this is an article that I found. It says Scarlet Teen Queer Sex Education is a youth program with which Build Our Center partners. These are the people that don't want us to keep children separate from pornography, with which Build Our Center partners through which teenagers and quote emerging adults end quote take classes on sexuality. The classes provide information about how to perform a wide variety of sex acts and encourages children to engage in them. Is that what our libraries are about? Is that what we're doing here? Cool. Anyways, just thought I'd bring that up. I did get a threat tonight. You know, I've gotten a couple death threats over the last few months. I did get a threat by Ilya, how do you say his name? Ilya Arbitman. I just thought I'd put that on the record if something does happen to me. He threatened me tonight. That was kind of interesting. I've never threatened anybody. I just record stuff and post it and say this is good or this is bad. Let the people decide. That's kind of what I'm all about. I think the people don't think this is good. That's why WC1 got voted down. My suggestion would be let's get rid of all these books since the shelves are only half full anymore. I remember being a kid and the shelves were all full. And what I suggest to benefit the entire community, all of Washoe County, is let's just go to an entirely digital library where everybody can access the library from wherever they're at, whether they're in rural Gerlach, somewhere where there are no services, Verdi can access it. Let's just have digital libraries. We can save a lot of money. And we can get rid of all these $100,000 a year employees. How many $100,000 a year employees do we have in these libraries? That's just crazy, isn't it? What are we paying these people for? To wear these rainbow garbage things and put this death crap around? What the fuck? No, anyways, let's just have a little silence here, shall we? Let's see if people clap and cough. Let's remember Charlie Kirk, a man that got shot for his convictions by a leftist radical who are fighting here in the libraries tonight. Oh, 30 seconds. Let's try it.
Thank you. Krista Flanagan.
Hello again, Krista Flanagan for the record. I just wanted to clarify, there's some interesting public comments just recently. I'm a lot of things, but the biggest thing I am is a giant nerd. And the gentleman who was wearing a Death Saves t-shirt in the video is in reference to the fact, I believe he was the dungeon master for the D&D group that was being the Dungeons and Dragons group. Death saves are a game mechanic in which when your character dies, say like when a giant red dragon throws a huge fireball, that gives you the opportunity to decide, hey, do you survive or do you not? The death saves joke was not a reference to a dig at Christianity or any other religious groups, any other sort of Jesus saves thing. It's a game mechanic that allows players to say, or to roll dice to see if the dice determine, nope, you just died from that massive fireball, or you dramatically cling to life through some sheer force of will. I'm not a very good DM, but I have been playing Dungeons and Dragons for a very long time. And so I am a nerd. I wanted to share that. Wanted to clarify that. If anyone was scared, I suggest looking up things online before you start saying almost dangerous things. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Ms. Barton.
Hi there, Ithne Barton for the record. I just want to say thank you. I think that this exercise, as painful as it may have been, is absolutely important in validating, and we can now go back to with confidence to the board, asking them for continuation of all services of the library. I also wanted to speak to a couple of reasons why libraries are important. Connection is important, human connection is important, and we don't get that through digital screens. And so I would absolutely advocate for continuation of books in our libraries, because young brains, as a physician in this community, we know that digital access is not helpful for developing young brains. And so you need human connection and tactile activities, turning pages in books, very important for a developing mind. So thank you very much, and I appreciate all of your time.
Seeing no other public comment, we'll move forward with item. Sure. Sorry, just sign in if you would.
Janet Butcher for the record. I know you probably won't answer me, but maybe during comment by your somehow, some way I can get this information. I'd like to know when you get the information for the meetings. I was always under the impression that you didn't necessarily get everything until at the meeting, or you couldn't discuss it until at the meeting. But I heard a comment in the audience that said you should have done your homework. And it was my impression that some of the stuff you didn't get until tonight, but maybe I'm wrong on that. But hopefully I can find out, because I don't want to make a comment about it if I'm mistaken. But it was my impression that sometimes you don't get everything until the day of the meeting or whatever. And or you may have other things, like I know that last year you had a family emergency. Somebody was on vacation. You may have a death in the family or something, and you may not have the time to get it. So I think you all really have, you don't get paid for this. So that being said, and I'd like to ask a question about the reading of the motion. There was a paper passed around with the reading of the motion on it. Was that in the minutes, or did somebody else put that together before the meeting so that they had it ready to read it at the time? Just a question. And then, since we're getting into social engineering in the library system, perhaps we could put on the agenda decorum for respect for, I appreciate, and that last time I'm sure that you were caught off guard when people in the audience started clapping during a moment of silence for a young man who was assassinated. And I know you were probably caught off guard. And I appreciate that tonight you tried to rein it in, although instead of clapping, they had to decide that they were going to make other noises and coughing and what have you. It's just a decency thing. It's not, doesn't have anything to do what side of the aisle you're on, or whether you believe in having sex with the same partner, or whether you like having sex, sexualizing children or whatever. It has to do with just plain downright decency, something that we are totally lacking in our communities today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I can say that it did come, it's in the packet. Oh, yeah, it's in the staff report for the record, because it did look like we were passing around something that was pre-written, so it's in there.
I would. Excuse me. No further public comment. Item up number 8 is staff announcements. This is a non-action item. No discussion or action may be taken upon any matter raised under this comment section until the matter has been specifically included on an agenda. I do have a comment. Thanks to those of you who,
Are we at staff announcement?
yes. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't look up and see you. Go ahead.
Debbie Steers, Collection Development Manager for the record. I've spoken with you several times about our mission is within collection development is to curate a collection that meets the needs and interests of our community. I have a mad passion for doing that as efficiently as possible, that it's my very firm belief that we owe to our taxpayers that we return to them as much content as we can and keep overhead costs as low as possible. And in doing that, we're always looking at various options for vendors, the best way to get materials quickly and cost effectively on the shelf. For over 100 years, Baker & Taylor has been our primary vendor in doing that. Several years back, when I came on board, we were able to increase efficiency with Baker & Taylor, have it so that books arrive from them ready to put on the shelf. We literally take them out of the box, check them in, and put them on the shelf that same day. Other vendors do not offer that level of service, but that efficiency allowed us to take 4 positions that were in technical services and push them out to public services in response to what we kept hearing from the public was, we want more hours. We want more hours. I'm tired of showing up at the library and the library isn't open. We never heard from the public, I'd like more people in the basement processing those books. And so those efficiencies allowed us to expand hours. I have bad news. Last week it was announced that Baker & Taylor is going out of business. Staff were laid off immediately, and it leaves us with a gap. I love project management. It leaves us with a big hole. Assistant County Manager Solaro and I are already in discussion about how to best meet that need. I do want to warn, we won't be quite as quick. We had, at the time of that announcement, we had over 6,000 items on order with Baker & Taylor. Those were already visible in the catalog. People had placed holds on them. So want to ask for people's patience and understanding as we move item by item through those 6,000 items, identify a new vendor, work through the process with the county of approval of that vendor and spending. There will be hiccups. We still have that priority of getting folks the materials that they want in a timely way. I take as a great compliment the library manager at Truckee called me not too long ago and she said, I just have to ask you, how do you do it? We have a lot of patrons who use both libraries, and I have to say I'm so tired of hearing Washoe County already has it. How do you get things so quickly? So we will continue to strive towards that. Just want to let you and the public know. There's likely to be some grumbling of, hey, how come you don't have the Tuesday Murder Mystery Club book on the shelf yet? We are working, and our top priority is identifying what are the things with the most holds and how do we get those in the hands as quickly as possible. But we will get through it, but it will certainly have some hiccups and not be as smooth as what it normally is.
Sure, you'll do a great job. Thank you very much. Any other staff announcements at this time? Hearing none, I will proceed to item number 9, which is adjournment. Thank you all, and thanks for your patience tonight and comments.